Aquarius, and welcome to your weekly tarot reading. This will take you from the 8th to the 15th of January, and I hope you're all doing well. Your additional guidance card is the Happy card, which is very interesting because it's almost identical to your crowning card. It's about flying free and flying lightly, Aquarius. So this often represents having joy with others. Now, what's significant about both these cards is these people fly free because they've let go of what was holding them down, okay? And generally what holds us down is other people's issues and old fears and situations which keep us feeling heavy and keep us feeling sad. Okay, the bottom of the deck you've got the Three of Discs, so you've got two threes as the core issue. The threes are really expansive expansive energies. The Three of Discs might mean promotion, raising yourself up. It's also about working with others on a practical thing. But this practical issue seems to be full of joy and lightness, and there's a lot of happiness around you, Aquarius, which I'm really pleased to see, because you do start the week with the Ten of Wands. So there's a feeling maybe that you've been struggling with some issues. It's paired with this King of Wands, so some of you might have been struggling with a fire sign, male or female, or you might be struggling to manifest, to get things done, to push your life forward, because a king is very, very dynamic energy, and the wands are about our creativity, our passion, that desire to move your life forward in a sort of orderly direction. So these two together are either going to represent some of you feeling worn out around this king, okay, or you're just worn out with work. There's a lot of ideas going on, but I don't like seeing you like this, Aquarius. There's this sense of being a bit burdened, tired. All these ones might be psychological issues, guilt, too much responsibility, carrying this king's issues. Or some of it you might just be working really hard. With that Ten of Wands, it's an ending card, so you're nearly at the end of a cycle, okay? The sun and other planets have been in our 12th house, so they've been quite buried. So maybe you haven't felt this overwhelming joy and lightness. So I'm hoping, Aquarius, that you're going into a transition card, because right next to it is the Six of Swords, which is returning to much more peaceful times. And for some reason, I'm getting this to be emotional, because it's paired with the King of Cups, okay? So both these, and I understand this is an air card, but if you look, she is floating on water. So water represents our emotional life. So it seems like you're going to much more calmer, stiller waters. There's a few cards in the deck which I always get as very, very protective energy. And this Six of Swords I get as protective energy. It's got Weeping Willow, the full moons guiding you and protecting you. But with the King of Cups, there's definitely a sense of you being extraordinarily emotionally calm and serene. Sometimes these cards can speak of becoming a bit more detached, especially emotionally. And I'm not talking about loving less, I'm talking about getting less involved with this Ten of Wands. If this is other people's issues, or just dropping some of these burdens that you've been carrying and moving to much more gentler times where you feel more lighter and you feel more joyful, because that Six of Swords is a transition card. It generally represents leaving something behind and moving forward, but we're never quite clear about where she's moving forward to. But I am looking at your outcome, and your outcome's the Four of Wands. So I'm hoping that you're moving on to much more happier, much more celebrated times. And the fact that happy is your guidance card, and the two threes are speaking of moving on to much more joyful and much more heartfelt times where you're sharing yourself with other people. And I'm really glad, because if you look, Aquarius, she's turning her back on this Ten of Wands. Okay, so the Ten of Wands recently is really coming across more as sort of more psychological issues, carrying other people's burdens, essentially. Things that aren't your responsibility to carry, but we have got the habit of making other people's issues our own. But with this King of Cups, the King of Cups' message is about learning to get a little bit of calm, finding your own inner oasis where there's happiness and there's joy, and it's not something that you give away lightly, because once you've accessed that inner energy of the King of Cups, you don't tend to give it away. So you're still there, you're still involved with other people, but you're learning to do it in a way that is much more emotionally calm and emotionally serene. That might be a message for someone watching, by the way. It's definitely my message. The King of Cups also can be a person. He would be a water sign, male or female, but again, most of you know that's not necessarily the case. It just tends to be someone who's maybe emotionally deep and emotionally expressive. So they express what's going on for them. So I'm not quite sure who this King of Wands is. I think this might be a person for some of you. Or maybe some of you have just been pushing your goals too much, and there's a message to step back and just to release them and have a little bit of joy and let the Six of Swords carry you forward. Because it's interesting, in my other decks, she doesn't do any of the oar work in the boat. There's a ferryman who's carrying her forward, which means it's the sort of the grace of the universe that leads our life forward, if you allow it and if you let it. Quite an interesting message here. And I think, but the impact for me is how she's turning her back on that Ten of Wands. So leaving behind an oppressive situation for some of you to much more emotional joy and a much more emotional calmness. And I really wish, there might only be a few people watching, and I'm really, really hoping you get that message, okay? Because she is moving to this Page of Wands, which is new opportunities and new potentials. When this Page of Wands shows up, sometimes it can represent, that energy, or what will I do next? How will I choose? So it might be about actualizing a new venture. It could be a new job. Something new wants to happen here because it's a page. So there might be something intuitively guiding you forward. And I think it's something quite exciting, to tell you the truth, because I think that Page of Wands tends to bring quite exciting opportunities. Now, it's with the Five of Discs. I want to pull you another card here, because I don't know if... I've got a feeling some Aquarius are actually moving away from the Five of Discs, but it's still lingering. Or maybe that Five of Discs is that there's still a lingering feeling of some exhaustion. Maybe your energy has been depleted. No wonder with that Ten of Wands, okay? So you might have to preserve your energy a little bit more. Or there could be a little sense of financial lack, which is starting to get you to be inspired about what new opportunities you can do, which will create greater financial wealth in your life. Because the fives isn't necessarily a bad card, and for some reason, Aquarius, I'm not picking it up as a negative for you. I'm not saying it's the month of January that some of you don't have financial issues, but I'm getting it more to do with energy and maybe being quite depleted, and maybe you feel a bit lonely and a little bit cut off. But I just pulled a Star card with it, and that's exactly what I'm picking up. That for some reason, this Page of Wands seems to be about new opportunities and bringing new potential to that Five of Discs. Because I find the Page of Wands a really optimistic card. It's quite an exciting energy, and the Star card really would be more about trying to heal that Five of Discs energy. Because whatever it is, it's not going to stay around you too long, because right next to it you've got the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is a card about celebration, good times, and it's with the Page of Cups, which is about good news, particularly emotionally coming your way, Aquarius. This could be the start of a new love affair, it could be a new romance, it could be renewing a love affair that's already been established. So give me a minute. Sorry guys, I was checking the time. But whatever that Five of Discs is about, it doesn't seem, for some reason, I'm not getting that as the main issue. There seems to be something driving you forward, and it's about moving away from the sense of oppression to a much more lighter heart, because you end, one of the meanings of the Page of Cups is a restoration of your innocence, that beautiful heart offering your cup. Some of you might be starting a new love affair, Four of Wands, entering into a brand new cycle, which is going to bring you incredible happiness. So and then you get the Six of Discs. I told you, there's something about that five that feels not a negative, but transformative, because here comes the Six of Discs. So you might be getting help from something new might be starting. There's going to be a balance being brought about and a healing energy. And two sixes are all about balance being restored. So for some reason, I might be totally wrong, but that Five of Discs seems more like a temporary thing, a temporary energy, rather than sometimes that Five of Discs can be a crippling energy, but I'm not getting that. I'm getting it's temporary, then moving on to the Six and celebrating, and really good emotional news coming forward for you. Okay, Aquarius, I hope that helped. Interesting week ahead, I really have to say, and I really want you to move away from that 10. As I said, I'm not getting that 5 as severe. It's actually quite the opposite. It's that something wants to change, which is really fundamental. And the Star card is sort of pointing to the same thing. Okay, Aquarius, I'll speak to you next week. Loads of love. Bye.